This is, for me, the masterpiece of Hughes' crime writing career and not the better known but less nuanced In a Lonely Place 1947. Like a lot of people, I became aware of Dorothy B. Hughes' work through the Hollywood noir classic of that novel, made in 1950 and starring Humphrey Bogart and Gloria Graham. In a Lonely Place was groundbreaking hard-boiled fiction and the central plot is much copied. The film is often seen as softening the novel, but it is open to another interpretation. I could argue that the alternative film ending elevates the story, its intent making it more relevant today. Both tell the story of the murder of a young woman. The man in the frame for the crime, he has no alibi, begins to arouse the suspicions of the people around him. In the novel, he is a violent sociopath, a misogynist, a killer. In the film, that man falls for a neighbor and she sticks by him, but he has uncontrollable fits of temper and blackouts. Is he capable of murder? No, he isn't the killer, but by the time he is cleared, the relationship has bitten the dust. I think it one of the earliest representations of what we now recognize as PTSD anywhere. The hero is never the same after he returns from the war, the effects last, he can't cope with the peace. Innocent in the film, a killer in the novel. So, what's so good about The Expendable Man? It isn't just my opinion. In a recent article for The Guardian Review, crime authors were asked to pick the one crime novel that they would recommend to everyone, the one that inspired them to write. Sarah Paretsky chose this novel, The Expendable Man, as her favorite, citing its barren landscape, spare writing and sense of menace. Menace is right because from the first page we sense the disquiet of the main protagonist, Hugh Densmore, around a good act is about to turn his life upside down. We know this from the way he is thinking, from the storytelling, but we don't know what is going to happen. He gives a young girl a lift. We begin to imagine where that could lead. Hughes doesn't tell us yet. She builds the tension and the anticipation. A couple of landmines are laid, but the explosion still shocks. Incidentally, this was written in 1963. Even the sky at this moment was sand, a reflection of the fading bronze of the sun. The landscape is vast, open but arid, hot, bland, all-consuming, somehow claustrophobic. Hugh Densmore hits the road in his white Cadillac. As he leaves Indio behind, he feels good. The sun, the air, the open road. For brief moment Hughes relaxed. It doesn't last. Teenagers buzzing past him in a hot rod spoil his mood. He starts to get wound up, anxious, intimidated. He pulls into a drive-through diner. The kids follow. They're rowdy, but he has to eat if Hughes going to drive all the way to Phoenix tonight. Eventually Hughes on his way again. Out of nowhere, he sees a young girl on the side of the road. He can't leave her, can he? He knew better than to pick up a hitchhiker on the road. Had known it long before the newspapers and script writers had implanted the danger in the public mind. Hugh picks her up. He's pretty sure that she is lying to him from that moment on. Iris Kroom says Hughes 18, but maybe Hughes 15 or even 14. Her name and where Hughes going, her aunt's house, just don't make sense. Hugh is worried about having this young girl in his car. Why was she hiking and what do her parents think they are doing? Iris has no money and scant possessions. A lawman could draw the wrong conclusion here. So he decides to break the journey and Blythe, get her to the bus depot, get her a ticket and forget about her. The problem is when he leaves his hotel the next morning, she is still waiting for a lift. To avoid a scene, Hughes forced to take her Phoenix. Again he drops her at the depot, finding her aunt. Finally Hugh heads for his family home. Everyone is getting ready for his niece's wedding. Hughes booked into the Palms Hotel. The next day Iris turns up again. Hughes been looking for him. She wants his help. Hughes in trouble. Hughes a doctor and her boyfriend is married with 2 kids. Hugh is furious. He throws her out. It's back to the family and the wedding and Ellen, the beautiful girl he has a crush on. The following day he sees the headline in the paper about the girl found dead in the canal. He knows a world of trouble is coming his way. If you're thinking of reading the novel, avoid this paragraph which contains plot spoilers. Detectives Dingle and Venner want to talk to him. They ask about 15-year-old Bonnie Lee Crum. He denies knowing her but admits to giving a girl called Iris, obviously the same girl, a lift into town. This is where the story turns. Hugh isn't just worried about taking a minor across state lines, scary enough, but he is black, the girl white. Now the nervousness at the diner, the fear of being caught with a girl in the car, a white Cadillac, make even more sense. No wonder he was scared, no wonder he wanted to get her on the bus. The autopsy results are not in yet, but it's clear she was murdered in a botched backstreet abortion. He's a doctor, and two are going to make 5. The Scottsdale Marshal, Hackberry, calls him in. They search his room and car. The marshal says he'll be fair, but there are others just waiting to take down a black doctor. Ellen offers her support and suggests he gets white lawyer. Did the man abusing Iris, her boyfriend, set to him up? In the end, there is only one way to get out of this: find the killer himself. The Expendable Man is of suspense and boiling tension, and as topical today as it was at the time the civil rights movement was ramping up. Claustrophobic and seething with bad intent. Hugh and Ellen are very real characters caught up in a maelstrom. Cleverly structured, this tale unfolds rapidly, layers intertwine, and the excitement never lets up. Hughes explores the themes of racism and everyday attitudes in a country still divided on racial lines. Hughes also included a clicker on that at the end about Ellen that forces the reader to face a different aspect of that divided society again. As a critic of the art, Hughes has noir, hard-boiled in her soul. A contemporary of Hammett and Chandler, she is worthy of mention in the same breath. There is an interesting afterword by Dominic Power that puts a context on Hughes' work and this novel. Dorothy B. Hughes, Dorothy Bell Flanagan, was born on August 10, 1904 in Kansas City. She was a writer of noir, hard-boiled fiction and a literary critic. Of her 14 thrillers, 3 were filmed. In A Lonely Place, The Fallen Sparrow, and Ride the Pink Horse, remade as The Hanged Man. The Expendable Man was her last novel. In 1963, she wrote a biography of L. Stanley Gardner after that. Though not prolific, her work stands with the best of the hard-boiled genre. Full credit to Persephone Books for republishing and reprinting this novel in a beauty-bound edition. Paul Bork 5/5 The Expendable Man by Dorothy B. Hughes, Persephone Books Limited, 9,781,903,155,585 PBK, September 2006.